Alright, Unit 8. This is a sweet unit, signaling molecules. There are only 32 slides, mainly 2 big charts that you have to memorize and then other stuff along the way to help you understand what those charts mean. So let's wait for the computer to load here. There we go. First thing to know, get some good reading there. Eicosanoids are 20 carbon molecules. These are your types of signaling molecules. A little bit of background about acetylcholine. Big chart number 1 to memorize. Good thing is it's not as bad as it looks. So these are your lipid soluble ones in blue here. So make sure you make that differentiation. You can memorize it as 2 mini charts if you want. But that's nice to know because all of these are the same. So water soluble, these 3 here. They are second messenger on plasma membrane receptors. These lipid soluble ones are used for gene regulation and they're used in nuclear receptors. Nitric oxide, often called the smallest signaling molecule. Hint, question, definitely. It's another cytosolic receptor, the only cytosolic receptor, another second messenger. It's made from an amino acid plus oxygen. NO, make sure you know that well. So the examples aren't as important, we're going to see them throughout, so it's good to know what is classified as a peptide or a catecholamine or a eicosanoid or a steroid. So kind of make those notes as you go through the rest of the unit. But definitely just be able to list off the types and know how they're synthesized. So it's kind of explaining what we already talked about. Good to read. The other big takeaways are learning about 3 main hormones. Now these are the 3 big hormones that you're going to need to know in Biochem 2, so know them really well now. It will help you immensely. I would know this quick pathway for epinephrine synthesis. At the very least, know it's derived from tyrosine. So, slide number 1, insulin. You should know its peptide, you should know its size relative to the other ones. I believe insulin's the biggest, followed by glucagon and then epinephrine as far as this unit's concerned for the peptide hormones. So this is your fed state. After you eat, you secrete insulin, stimulated by sugar in your blood. This is affecting mainly your fat cells and your muscle cells, also your liver cells a little bit. So what's it going to do? You ate food, so it's going to make stored sugar, stored fat, cholesterol, protein. We don't really care about too much right now. It's complicated. Glucagon is like the opposite of insulin. That's a huge principle to know. Insulin is one thing, and glucagon and epinephrine are like the opposite of it. And glucagon and epinephrine are very similar as well. So first of all, it's about half the size. Alpha cells instead of beta cells. Not the fed state, this is the fasting state. So when you're not eating, about 2 hours after you get done eating, you start secreting more glucagon, stimulated by low blood glucose. Big takeaway here, affects mostly liver cells. So glucagon is basically like calling the liver to release and make some more glucose for the rest of the body. Insulin's like, oh, we have plenty of sugar, we'll just store it and use it. Glucagon's like, wait, we need more sugar. Liver makes some more sugar. So we can't make fat and glycogen because we don't have the materials for it. We start degrading those things to produce energy. And because you're doing that, you obviously can't make these other things. So it's a degrading molecule, it turns things off, but glucagon is our friend, obviously. Burns our fat. Epinephrine, secreted by the adrenal glands, the other 2 are pancreas. So this one is a catecholamine hormone, not a peptide hormone. The other 2 are peptide hormones. This is much smaller, made by the adrenal glands. So this is when you're exercising or starving. You'll notice the effects are essentially the same as glucagon, with the added benefit of kind of like your stress response, what you think of. Your heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, your tissues dilate, you're ready to go. And the other ones affected specific cells. Epinephrine will affect most cells. So stress is affecting most cells in your body. Another way to think of that one. Again, review. Tyrosine. This you go kind of more into in Biochem 2, so I don't know how much we want to touch on it now. Maybe that phospholipids are a precursor for arachidonisate, which is a 24 molecule. And that makes all of these guys down here. If he says this in class, I would know it. I might be confusing Biochem 2 for NSAIDs. This is where they act. They block these enzymes that make prostaglandin and thromboxane. Alright, second big chart. Know everything about this. I don't need to explain this. Yeah, it's a memorizing thing, and I guess the only thing, know that this is millimolar. 10 to the negative 9 is nano, and 10 to the negative 6 is micromolar ranges. So know what is derived from cholesterol. So your sex hormones, vitamin D, all these guys down here, your progestins, all of those are derived from cholesterol. So cholecalciferol, vitamin D derived from cholesterol, like I just said. It can be stimulated by light. So be able to associate this form with vitamin D. So he might combine a couple units and say which one is good for regulating blood calcium. Cholecalciferol might be the only thing on there. He might not say vitamin D. In that case, you need to recognize that as vitamin D. This is the active form, FYI. So vitamin A can be synthesized through beta carotene. So be able to associate anything like retinol, retinoate, retinoic acid. It's all relating to vitamin A, and he's going to say cell growth and proliferation, most likely. Thyroid hormones. Thyroglobulin is a monster. It's a huge, huge protein. So make sure what's derived from thyroglobulin, or what's derived from a very, very large protein. One of these guys here, your thyroid hormones. T4, T3, this is referring to the amount of iodine on each of them, 4 and 3. So thyroxine and triiodothyronine, those are your thyroid hormones. Thyroid will probably say something about regulating metabolism. There's some other examples. If he says something about it in class, might be good to know, but this is a lot of like Biochem 2 preview at this point. Back to our smallest known signaling molecule, made from our basic amino acid. On a quiz, maybe you know that citrulline is another amino acid that's a precursor and a product of making nitric oxide. And that is everything to know, or most of what you need to know for Unit 8.